BYU fans are upset. I don't know what the transition was awkward and stuff, you know. But my point is BYU fans are really, really hot over this lack of a New Year's Six Bowl invite.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about that. And we've been talking about this for the better part of 4 or 5 months now. And we've told you right out of the gate, hey, everything was good. Everything was good. Oh, Boise State and Baylor happened. Okay. Hey, put your foot on the gas and you got a chance. Because to get into a New Year's Six Bowl, you have to impress other human beings. BYU chose not to do that. That's why BYU is not in a New Year's Six Bowl. They were not screwed. BYU did not get robbed. BYU didn't do what they needed to do on the football field. That's why they're not in a New Year's Six Bowl. I think it's pretty straightforward, Jake. I don't know why it's so controversial.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's controversial because BYU fan feels like, hey, we had this great season. We beat Utah. We were, 6-0 in the Pac-12. Like, BYU fan feels like, hey, we did all this great stuff. But at the end of the day, you didn't do great stuff. Like, yeah, you have those 6 wins. But the problem is, as an independent, you have to do more than a conference champion has to do. I mean, it's no secret. This conversation for independence is tired at this point. I mean, BYU, Notre Dame, anybody you're looking at as an independent, you have to do more. And what more would look like is, you can't lose to, Boise State. You can't have a close-ish game by that game's standards with Georgia Southern. I mean, again, I know that they dominated Georgia Southern, but when we're talking about getting into a New Year's Six Bowl, that game was too close. It should have been a 70-point game. There's just no way around that. Idaho State should have been a 70-point performance, but you didn't want to do that. The Virginia game was not, yes, you put up a ton of points to win that game, but it's not like they put up 10 points, So to me, it would have been nice to be able to say, yeah, we put up 60 points 3 weeks in a row, and then, we went on the road and beat SC at their place. Like, you could have had a nice story there, but that just did not happen. And so this, to me, was never really a surprise. I mean, did you have a chance? Sure. Were you in the conversation? Sure. But when it comes down to it, you got to remember, this is literally people sitting at a table, looking at schedules on a TV, looking at the resume and saying, okay, who's got the most impressive situation or story to tell? And BYU does not have that story to tell. And that's what I think BYU fan doesn't want to hear. And I understand it's frustrating, but you have to come to grips with the fact that as an independent, you have to do more. And this, frankly, and this is more of a back burner discussion too, not getting into a New Year's Six, but being, getting into the Big 12. That's why this is so important. Because if, and really not if, but when you win that conference, there won't be a discussion about New Year's Six Bowl or not. You obviously will be. So I just think that BYU fan doesn't really have a leg to stand on to be frustrated. But obviously, as you were just saying, they are frustrated.
Well, and the hard part for me is this whole discussion about boycotting the Independence Bowl and we got screwed. And the fact of the matter is you agreed to play in the Independence Bowl months and months and months ago. You said, hey, this will be our bowl game. You signed a contract. So now all of a sudden, because the outcome didn't, finish the way that you wanted, you feel like you shouldn't have to honor your commitments. And this is the problem for BYU fan. And this is the struggle that I think a lot of BYU fans have. You want to rip Utah and talk about how the Pac-12 is trash. Now you're standing on we went undefeated in the Pac-12 and we beat Utah. We got screwed, so we're not going to honor our commitments. And that just doesn't feel right.
How is Utah in the Rose Bowl?
Yeah, like that. Well, Utah's in the Rose Bowl very simply because they did what they had to do on the field.
Yeah, well, BYU fan is saying, hey, we beat Utah. How come we're not in the Rose Bowl? How come we're not in a major bowl? How come we're not getting that opportunity? And it just doesn't work that way. You have to understand that. I mean,
if you're asking yourself why Utah is in the Rose Bowl and you're not, again, with all due respect, and I said this a couple of weeks ago talking about this, you just don't understand how the College Football Playoff Committee works. I mean, this is an opinion-based group, as you just said. This is a group of guys and gals that get together every week and talk football. and whoever's got the strongest opinion wins. And Gary Barta, the AD at Iowa, who's the chairman of the committee, straight up said, hey, BYU would have had to leapfrog Michigan State, and that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Because we didn't respect Michigan State. We put Michigan ahead of Michigan State, right? Remember that? That
Yes.
whole, like you look at Alabama right now. How's Alabama the number one team in the college football playoff? Well, they beat Georgia. But Michigan, but it's opinion based. They're the number one team. Alabama is the number one team in the college football playoff because the committee said so.
This is Coach Saban.
Yeah, like the committee said so. And you have to understand that what the committee says, it goes.
Yep.
It is that simple. That's the thing that I think so many people can't understand. BYU fan, you want to say A plus B equals a New Year's Six Bowl. Well, you're forgetting the C, which is everybody else's opinion. And this isn't because you're a Mormon. This isn't because you wanted money. Or they wanted somebody said to me yesterday on Twitter, no, the only reason BYU's out is they want to keep the money in the big conferences. So you don't think 1 million viewers, probably 2 million viewers on TV, a massive attendance turnout, you don't think that any bowl game wouldn't want BYU. You don't think like a New Year's Six Bowl would love the idea of having a massive TV number for their sponsors, for their title sponsors, no, we don't need that. Are you kidding me? Putting BYU into a major bowl game, any bowl game, is a big payday for everybody. So that argument just doesn't hold water. My frustration is BYU has had a historic run in football.
Mm-hmm.
A run like we've never seen, even in the national championship era. We've never seen BYU have a run like this. It is incredible what Kalani and company have done. And you are just crapping all over that. You are just throwing that away, talking about, oh, we're going to boycott the Independence Bowl. That's an embarrassment.
Yeah.
Do you realize the damage you are doing to the brand? When you as a BYU fan co-sign some idea about, we're not going to live up to our contractual obligation because we don't like it anymore. I mean, it's just, to me, it is so detrimental.
When did quitting become the solution to not liking something? This is the other thing that I don't get. Like on that point, like when did we, when did BYU fan or football fan, come to a place where you thought it was okay to say, well, we're just not going to do this because we don't like it. Essentially quitting on the season and everything that you've played for. What is that about? How is that living up to, what I would say BYU, lives by? How is that what you should be doing? And I just don't get that. And I think that, these situations always bring me back to the conversations we had on this show, probably, I don't know, a month ago now, probably, when we were talking about Idaho State and Georgia Southern and, and not kicking the hell out of those teams, and it really obviously goes back to the Boise State game. But I just think that even if you had lost that game, if you don't change that result and you win out the rest of the way, let's say you found a way to beat, Baylor and you did everything you were supposed to do outside of Boise State, I think we'd be having a different conversation today.
Yeah, I agree.
And so I remember all the times when BYU fan was like, well, it's not sporting to kick the living hell out of Idaho State and you got to have respect. And it's like, no, dude,
yes.
like now you can't have it both ways. You can't in that moment say, well, you got to be nice to Idaho State, but then be pissed off when you don't get into a New Year's Six Bowl. And this is why I say these are lessons learned or should be lessons learned if you're a BYU fan and not understanding why you didn't get the results you wanted to get.
Yeah, and I would be upset too. If I were a BYU fan, it's frustrating that, BYU didn't handle its business on the field.
But don't
That's
be
the
upset
bottom
with
line.
the committee. I agree with you. Be upset, but be upset for the right reasons.
Yes.
Too often on Twitter yesterday, I'm seeing people talk about, well, the committee screwed us and everybody hates BYU and, just having like little brother syndrome as we talk about on the show all the time, right? That it's not, this has nothing to do with the committee hating you or some bias against BYU. This, as always, has to do with what you did on the field. And that is, I feel like, the true common theme amongst all the teams in college football. It's what you did on the field in your situation. So, like, you brought up Alabama being the number one team in the college football playoff. They're there because they beat Georgia in an impressive fashion. Frankly, they dominated Georgia. They doubled them up, right?
Yes.
They showed out. BYU did not handle their business on the field. And so I don't know, man. I think if you're a BYU fan, it's petty to be hating on Utah this morning. I think it's petty to be hating on the committee. I think if you should be hating on anybody or questioning anybody, it's, the program. What are we doing? Why was Jaron playing against Boise State? Why did we do things in certain moments through this season that put us in this position? That's the question you should be asking, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think we had this conversation repeatedly during the year of, like, why did Jaron play against Boise State? We talked about this. We told
Yeah.
you he had multiple injuries and he was not prepared to play in that game, and you played him anyway. And I think it cost you. I think that the Baylor loss, you got beat by a team that was better than you. The Baylor Bears were a better football team than you, right? But you still had everything in front of you. This is what I was saying to Utah fans. After they lost the San Diego State game, and I'm not going to games, and I'm selling my tickets, and, well, what's going to happen when you run through the Pac-12? And go back and look on my Twitter timeline. I was telling people, hey, Utah's got every chance to do what needs to be done. Even after the Oregon State loss, it was painfully obvious that Utah was in the driver's seat for the Rose Bowl. And then when you beat Oregon, and then you beat Oregon again to seal it, like, you just have to handle it on the field.
Yeah, which, by the way, congratulations to Utah fan. Can we just say that real quick too?
Yeah.
Like I think hell of a season. No doubt, people are talking about the fact that both Baylor and Utah have gone to bowl games after quitter quarterback left both of those programs, which I think really does matter. I think it's definitely worth pointing that out. And I think no matter what Kyle Whittingham's future is in the program, I think this is by far. I mean, I haven't been covering Utah football for a long time, right? Like, I'm probably only a couple years in at this point, but in my time that I've seen him covering the program, this is by far the best coaching job he's ever executed. I mean, this is better than 2019 now. To beat Oregon 2 times in a row, like, I just think it's worth saying. Hell of a season. Here's to winning the Rose Bowl if you do. I think they deserve all the credit.
Yeah, I think that this is easily one of the best seasons that Kyle Whittingham's ever had. And I think, interestingly enough, I think the adversity and everything that Utah went through this year defined this season, made this season possible. Because it kept Utah on such a razor's edge the entire year. The Aaron Lowe story, obviously, it tied Jordan into Aaron Lowe. You can't replicate that kind of emotion. You can't create that, fabricate it, manufacture it. The realness of it kept the Utah Utes on that razor's edge, and they played like it. They played like they had a point to prove. And I think they proved that point loud and clear. This is the tale of 2 different teams.
Seriously.
Once the quitter quarterback was gone,
yep.
Cam Rising took over. The team rallied around him. The Aaron Lowe situation, how Witt and his staff kept this team playing football and kept them focused and used that for fuel. I mean, it's the stuff of legends, man. It really is unbelievable what Utah has been through.
I mean, the season could have been over at the BYU loss. I mean, let's be honest about it. I mean, your season could have ended
I
right
agree.
there.
I absolutely agree. I think when BYU lost to Utah, it would have been easy to slide down the hill. Kyle Whittingham's going to retire. Everything's new. Okay, we get that. That's not what happened. You turned it around and have had the most successful season in the history of Utah Utes football.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. To be winning the Pac-12 championship finally, to be going to the Rose Bowl finally. Utah is not, even in the BCS era, you haven't felt this way. Even during the BCS runs and being the original BCS buster, you haven't felt this way before.
Yeah, I felt like when they beat Oregon that first time, just the way you beat them, dominant fashion. I mean, again, if you watch that game, the call to call the timeout right before the half, to force Oregon to kick the football again, to get it to Britton Covey, to have him run it, like, it just, all those little decisions matter, man. And I think it's, obviously it goes without saying that, all's for naught if you don't win the Rose Bowl, right? But this has been a hell of a season. And I just think that it just goes to show you, like football is different than any other sport out there, man. I mean, basketball, it's even different than basketball. I just feel like, Kyle Whittingham will forever be a name at Utah, and he deserves that.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that he's earned his spot in the history of college football in the state, even before, this season kicked off. I mean, it's hard to argue that Kyle Whittingham is, one of the best coaches, maybe the best coach to ever do it in the state, but I just am really happy for everybody associated with that Utah program. I mean, what they've been through, nobody should ever feel that pain. I mean, nobody should ever feel the turmoil.
Yeah.
I mean, you had 2 players die in less than a year. Your quarterback quit on you. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
That they've been able to persevere through injuries, that they've been able to persevere through tragedy. I mean, the rumors surrounding Kyle Whittingham, you had every reason to fold and you never did.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. And you know what? The other thing that I think is, excuse me, just so remarkable about this year is this might be the best season in the history of football in this state. When you look at, obviously Utah winning the Pac-12, going to the Rose Bowl, Utah State winning the Mountain West Championship, so congratulations on being a AAA football team that, no, I'm not going to do it. Congratulations on winning the Mountain West Championship.
Okay. So that's how it's going to be.
Yeah, that is how it's going to. Look, it's nothing against the Aggie Tears. I just am not a Mountain West fan. And I had all the people on Twitter, are you guys at least going to mention Utah State? Yeah. They won the Mountain West. I mean, it's an accomplishment.
My word.
Yeah, I mean, hey, just like Alabama won the SEC championship, Utah State won the Mountain West championship. Okay. Anyway,
y'all feel me?
Yeah, I mean, I hate the Mountain West.
Oh my God, dude.
I hate the Mountain West.
Okay.
And BYU leaving the Mountain West.
Yeah.
And for all these years, Utah fans and everybody else is like, hey, man, you guys got to take the blue Kool-Aid and sip it into the Mountain West, man. Just, go back. You got to go back. Little brother down there. Team down south.
Yeah.
Decade of dominance.
Yeah.
Got to go back.
Yeah.
No. There's no going back. Because what BYU's done as an independent, on the precipice of getting into a New Year's Six Bowl. What's amazing to me, and I'm intentionally not reading BYU Barry. You didn't know Barry. BYU Barry routinely DMs me and was going on about how after the Boise game, any hope of a New Year's Six was gone.
Uh-huh.
And we've been saying on this show for weeks, hey, it's not over. It's not over.
Uh-huh.
Hey, man, just handle your business. Like trounce Idaho State. You didn't. Go down to Georgia Southern and prove a point. You didn't. Go to USC, win the game. You did. Well, you know what? You had 4 out of 5 weeks where you didn't handle your business. It's that simple.
And now you're upset that you're not in a New Year's Six.
And you agreed you were done, and now all of a sudden you don't get a New Year's Six. And it's, we're victims. They hate the Mormons. Oh, man, they hate the Mormons. You knew it. You knew it was going to happen. They were going to snatch it from us.
Check yourself.
Yeah, they hate us. And it's like, hey, man, you're the reason you didn't get in. You didn't handle your business on the football field. But Barry's going on, this morning about how all along I've been a Utah fan and I just hate BYU. And we're probably doing something right on this show when Utah fan is like, you're a BYU fan.
Yeah.
And BYU fans like, you're a Utah fan. You're pandering to Utah because they're in the Rose Bowl now.
To what do I owe this pleasure?
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just telling you, if you're gonna roll in the comments this morning and be a victim as a BYU fan, you're probably not gonna have a very good morning.
Hey,
Because you are not a victim this morning. You are not. Let's see.
Who had the first comment of the day?
Tanner Plummer.
Okay.
Morning, boys.
Reliable.
Welcome back.
Thank you, Tanner.
John Jackson, missed you guys. Appreciate that. James Knight, welcome back, guys. Hope you had a great break. Tanner Plummer, think about it. The reason why BYU was 15th in the first college football playoff ranking was mainly because they put up 66 against Virginia. That 66 matters. Style points absolutely matter. I agree with that. John Jackson, BYU had a chance to prove something and passed it up. I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
Roy Wall, good morning, gents. Good morning, Roy. Good to see you. BYU fan CJ says, actually, Tanner, a conference championship matters per Barta, which is news because Notre Dame didn't win a conference, but got in. Which is news because Notre Dame didn't win a conference, but is in. Because Notre Dame has been essentially called, like one of the historic teams in football. And back to the BCS, and when the college football playoff was announced, Notre Dame was conference or not, anointed a team that's eligible for the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And by the way, Notre Dame handled their business on the field. I mean, if you look at Notre Dame's schedule and if you look at Notre Dame's result, and this is the point, like, see, already, when I look at people and I say, hey, they're 11-1, Notre Dame's a mediocre football team. But what did Notre Dame do? Notre Dame put up 55 against Georgia Tech, 45 against Stanford, 28-3 against Virginia.
See, that's a great example. 28-3 against Virginia. What's the difference between BYU? I don't remember what Virginia did against BYU. I think they had like 30. They're 45.
40 something, yeah.
Like 40 something. I mean, that's a different result for Notre Dame than it is for BYU. So I think that matters.
What I'm telling you is BYU and Notre Dame are both independent. The difference is Notre Dame's got history on its side, and Notre Dame steamrolled people to end the season because they were trying to prove a point. And the point is, hey, we belong here. The point's not sportsmanship, got to be nice, appreciate you guys playing us. Oh, you punched me in the face, we're going to take a knee. Like, that's not how you prove a point. You prove a point in the box score because that's what people are going to look at when they're trying to decide who the 12 teams on New Year's Day is going to be.
Yeah.
So you can sit here and blame Notre Dame now, and I'm just going to tell you you don't get it. You don't understand. Sitting here, with all due respect, CJ, if your point is that, hey, why is Notre Dame in? You don't understand. You don't know how the college football playoff works. You don't understand how college football works.
It's an opinion.
And they have anointed Notre Dame as a national power. They've essentially written it down.
Yeah.
That Notre Dame doesn't need to be in a conference to get in. They're not. Remember when it was, well, everybody, if you're going to get in, you've got to play, P5 teams. Notre Dame was earmarked as a P5 team. BYU was not.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not new.
Yeah.
How are you railing? Whatever.
I know.
Tanner says BYU to CJ. He says, well, it's a good thing BYU is going to be in the Big 12 in 2023.
Agreed.
There you go.
Agreed.
Greg Hawkins says, welcome back, fellas. Go Utes.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. Leonard Avalos says, is Whittingham going to retire? I don't think he is. He's given no indication he's going to retire. I mean, he's been out recruiting now. He's given no indication he's going to retire. May he retire? Sure.
And I don't know, man. Like, I could see how people would be like, "Well, this would be a nice season to retire on," because like this is one of his best jobs ever. Like, this would be a good point for him. But I don't know, man. Like, you get over this
Yeah.
adversity, and now you start to feel like, man, like this is like, okay, what can we do when we don't go through this adversity? What can we do with a normal season? So I don't know. I'd kind of be surprised.
I'd be surprised if he retired too. I hope he doesn't. Greg Hawkins says BYU needed to win against Boise State. They couldn't get it done. That's on them. Such is the price of independence.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, just in, really talking to people, understanding how this college football playoff works. And Heather Dinich, who works at ESPN and is one of the leading college football voices in this country when it comes to rankings, college football playoff, I've learned so much from her. And everybody that I've spoken to about this says it's an opinion-based thing. There's no formula for how you get in.
There's no benchmark. There's no, hey, if you do this, you're in. That's not how it works.
And this is, I will just again ask you, if you're a disgruntled BYU fan this morning, why is Alabama number one? Why isn't Cincinnati number one? Explain it. If it's all about wins and losses, it's not. Why isn't Cincinnati number one?